Good morning and welcome to TipRanks News Bites. I'm Ari Gutman. Today is Tuesday, July 26th, and here are our top news bites. The Federal Reserve is kicking off their two-day policy meeting today with their continued mission of combating inflation by raising interest rates. A late-night announcement made yesterday from Walmart detailing their profitability rocked the entire retail sector, with multiple retail stocks actually plunging thereafter. And as for our global news, Europe's worst nightmare seems to be becoming, a reality as Putin proceeds to further cut gas supply. Now finally, as for our breaking TipRanks insider news, a stakeholder in a leading healthcare organization just purchased more than $5 million worth of the company's stock. You are certainly not going to want to miss out, so make sure you stay tuned through and through to the very end of today's segment. Well, with inflation remaining at a 4-decade high, yet a very strong labor market coupled with consumers who are still spending despite the economic backdrop, the Federal Reserve is under immense pressure as we speak when it comes to its benchmark interest rate and, their next move. Under normal circumstances, if an economic sign or two of a slowing economy are present, the Fed pauses rate hikes and at times may even cut interest rates. But that is certainly not the case this go round, as they are solely focused on fighting inflation. Now, the immediate implication for all of us, borrowing rates rise, making it costlier to take out a loan, whether a mortgage or a small business loan or even as simple as an auto loan, which all leads to consumers and businesses often then borrowing and spending less, which ultimately cools the economy. Now, the Fed's hikes thus far have led to a doubling of the average rate on a 30-year fixed mortgage in the past year to 5.5%, and ultimately leading to a decline in home sales. The Federal Reserve remains, however, confident it can slow the growth just enough to tame inflation while not triggering a recession. Very much a tightrope walk. Now, ultimately, with the Federal Reserve's two-day policy meeting kicking off today, more will be revealed by tomorrow at the meeting's conclusion, but analysts are nonetheless expecting a 75 basis point rate hike, and recessionary fears remain running high. In more stock-specific news, just yesterday evening, an announcement from Walmart shook the entire retail sector, with multiple large-scale retailers taking an immediate hit and stock share prices plunging across the industry. Now, Walmart reported inflation-induced troubles they faced, whereas shoppers have been price shopping and just spending more on necessities and less on higher-ticket items ranging from clothes to electronics, ultimately meaning more items are on those shelves and, of course, backed up in the warehouses. The end result, a reduction in top-line revenue as Walmart has been forced to shave prices on items and they're just not selling. Ultimately, that is not what shareholders want to hear. Now, not only did Walmart stock fall by nearly 9%, but its largest competitors, from Target shedding 5% to Costco dipping by 2%, and even Amazon fell victim to the news, falling by 4%. They all took a hit. As for investors, especially those seeking longer-term value opportunities, they've begun looking into the retail sector, and if you're thinking similarly, just make sure to jump right onto TipRanks to perform all your necessary due diligence. Now, on our global news front, Vladimir Putin has pulled the trigger on a further reduction of gas flows into Europe. Putin has been warning Western countries more aggressively lately and over the course of the last month that he would do so if support for Ukraine kept up and sanctions were not reduced. Now, gas flows, according to reports, will fall to half the current flows, which are already at 40% of normal capacity. And while Putin stated there is no interest in a complete stoppage of gas supplies to Europe, the economic damage can be catastrophic on a global economic level. And now, as for our breaking TipRanks insider news, a 10% stakeholder in Daba Capital Management just made another investment into Tabula Rasa Healthcare in the amount of $5.13 million. Tabula Rasa provides patient-specific medication regimens that are driven by data-driven technology and aiming to improve overall patient outcomes, reduce hospitalizations, and just lower healthcare costs. While the stock is in fact down by 7% on the year and blogger sentiment does remain relatively bearish, the retail investor does favor this stock, and analysts are looking at a price target here at $4.50. Now, if this stock opportunity seems fitting for your personal portfolio or is just of interest to you, make sure you do all your due diligence. And of course, there is no better place to do that due diligence than right here on TipRanks. Tip Rankers, that's our news for today. But just before we conclude, I'm curious to know how inflation has been impacting you and whether or not you're an actual fan of how Jerome Powell and the Federal Reserve have been handling the fight against inflation. Let me know a thought or two of yours down below by leaving that comment. And of course, always stay up to date and stay connected by joining us right here on TipRanks TV. All the shows you just cannot afford to miss. And until next time, thank you for tuning in.